So good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to give everybody a couple of minutes. I can see all the people connecting in. Great to see you all. And we're just going to give a couple of minutes for everybody to sign up. So thanks as always for joining us so promptly. Hi, Andy. Hi, Daniela. Good to see a few of the faces. Happy New Year to everybody. Haven't seen you in a while, so hope all well. Hi, Joanne. So just to remind everybody, we'll be recording this webinar this morning. So a copy of the recording will be available to you early next week. And we'll also be providing copies of the presentations because we have a lot of really good material to go through. So for you to share with colleagues and friends, we'll have all of that up on the website, hopefully on Monday. So we're delighted, you'll see a few faces on the screen this morning, and I'm going to let Joe Callan do the introduction, but we're obviously delighted from a CCMA perspective to host this technology showcase, as we've called it, with three great Irish companies who are going to share insights on the phenomenal technology services products they're developing for the CX industry in Ireland. And there's some really clever solutions here that will really help all of the members in terms of their CX support and the efficiency of their operation. So I'm not going to steal the thunder. I'm going to hand over to Joe Callan, who's a CCMA board member who has pulled together all of the event this morning, and really thanks for that, Joe. And I'll let you do the formal introductions, Joe.
Thank you, Dorothy. So yes, no, thank you indeed, and good morning, everybody. I'm delighted to be able to welcome you to what is in fact our first technology showcase event. So also it's a pleasure being as a board member of the CCMA to be able to hear and to be able to help pull this event together. So thanks, Dorothy, for your support as well here. I'm also managing director of Arise, which is a BPO based in business process outsourcer based in Limerick. But here we're about the companies that are here with us today. So Ireland, as you know, we're a source of wonderful talent. We're entrepreneurial, and we build innovative services and products. And we're joined here today by three great examples of such companies. So with EdgeTier, Julica, and Leadtree. So I'd like just to welcome Bart, Tony, and Neil, along who have joined us today. So thank you for taking the time. We're delighted that so many people have been able to join this today, but you're not here to listen to me. So I'm going to very quickly move across to Bart. So Bart is with EdgeTier and is the Chief Product Officer with EdgeTier. So the format that we'll go through here today is that each of the presenters will present for approximately 10 minutes. We will try and see if we have a little bit of time at the end for a question, but we'll also have a panel at the end of the actual session for any additional questions. So please do get your questions in. Dorothy's going to be keeping an eye out for them as well. So it's a normal format of putting them in through chat on that as well. As I say, we'll each of them are presenting for 10 minutes. So we're going to start with Bart. Bart, if you want to, I see you've got the presentation up there. Great. If you want to take over.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, Joe, and thanks for the introduction, but also thanks to Joe and Dorothy for organising the session today. It's great to be here. I think it's a really good initiative, and it's nice to be here amongst such esteemed company. So at EdgeTier, we build the intelligence layer for contact centers. So our whole focus is on applying AI and machine learning to make better use of people and increase the quality of customer care and the quality of customer experience possible. And really, we focus on applying AI across the whole customer experience. And it's our view that AI really should be pervasive in your customer-facing teams. So obviously, there's things like bots and auto responses that are very much a good use case of AI within customer care. But AI really goes a lot further into things like triaging messages, prioritizing, assisting agents, which is a very big area for us, where we can use AI to help the agents, improve quality and improve, reduce handling times, as well as things like monitoring what customers are saying and understanding agent performance. And really, when you apply this intelligence layer onto your customer-facing teams, it really lifts the customer experience of the whole contact center, and that's really what we're focused on. But today, I'm going to focus on one particular aspect where we've done a lot of research and built a lot of technology in, which is around using AI to monitor and understand what's going on in your customer-facing teams and tell you the things you need to know without lots of manual effort and lots of kind of manual review. So in terms of understanding customers and in terms of handling customer issues, there's quite a lot of expectation on customer-facing teams now. So obviously you have to deliver high-quality customer experience and high-quality customer satisfaction, but you also have to react to issues immediately as they arise. You also have to report on and improve on customer experience and really be this source of knowledge for the entire company as to what issues customers are having and what changes you need to make. But the reality, as we know, is pretty different. The reality is that pretty much everybody uses fixed dashboards to show volume of contacts coming in, to show what's going on. And that's fine and that's good. But when something changes or when something unusual happens, it's very difficult to know why they've changed or what's going on in the background. And that means that you can be very slow to react. It means that it's difficult to be able to adjust as these kind of external events happen. It's also very difficult to understand what's going on in amongst the thousands and thousands of tickets and queries that you're dealing with. And even when agents label queries really, really well, it's still very difficult to explain why, payment queries went up by 10% yesterday. It's just a very difficult thing to do. So what ends up happening is that some poor soul has to download a bunch of tickets, manually look through them, try and figure out what's going on, or teams end up asking agents kind of what's going on. Have you noticed anything unusual or anything strange happening that we need to fix? So at EdgeTier, we solve those problems. So our technology, our monitoring technology, is applied to kind of sit on top of your customer service platform, including our own platform, and monitor all the messages that are going in and out. So we plug into that, Salesforce or Zendesk or LivePerson system that you're using, and analyze all the chats, all the emails, all the messages flowing in and out of your customer service team. And when we do that, we can start to do some quite smart things, right? So one area we focus a lot on is on detecting anomalies or detecting what's unusual and what's going on right now that you need to kind of know about. So our AI builds up this understanding of normality on what your customers tend to say, what they type, how they phrase things, and then is smart enough to know when something is changing and then alert you about that. So just to bring that to life a little bit, here's an example of an issue that we detected quite recently in one of our clients. So for background, somebody pushed an update to their website, which meant that there was account verification issues. So people couldn't verify their accounts as they normally would. Naturally, that led to an increase in contacts and people contacting customer care about this. So what our technology can do is it can detect when people are talking about topics that they don't normally talk about, or are talking about topics more frequently than they normally talk about. So in this case, it knew just from the way people were phrasing and talking in amongst the thousands of chats that are going on at any given time. Here's a group of people talking about a topic that is very unusual for this volume of people to be talking about. So it picked that up. It sent an alert out saying, in the last 10 minutes, there's been an increase in people talking about this new topic. We found 30 people so far talking about it. And we've grouped all those queries together so you know exactly what people are saying and who they are. And then we're going to tell you what's going on and who they are. So we can tell you which queues this issue is coming from, which customer segments this issue is coming from, as well as what your customers are thinking. Are they more frustrated now than they normally are? Are they happy? Are they sad? What are they doing? So you go from kind of trying to figure out and thinking, oh, there might be some issue somewhere, to having this very clear view of exactly what's going on at any given point in time. And obviously from our perspective, we wrap that up into an interface where you can see either live or kind of historically all the customer issues that our system is detecting, and then go in and explore and figure out exactly what's going on. Like, when did this issue start? You can see here this kind of happened with a pretty big spike on this day. Exactly how many interactions were related to this issue and how many people were talking about this topic that you may not have ever seen before, which segments it was affecting. Let's go and find the source of frustration in this issue. Really, you're going from kind of guesswork to really clearly understanding what's going wrong and what your customers are thinking. One other area that I wanted to touch on, again, on this kind of area of monitoring, is around looking at monitoring agent performance. And I think most customer-facing teams have regular reviews of agent performance in terms of what they're doing. And it never really made much sense to me, the kind of approach that they take, where they have all these brand guidelines and have all these things that agents should do, and these big forums that review teams fill in every second week. And then they go and pick 10 kind of random chats that agent handled in the last 2 weeks and hope that they find some issue or hope that they see something there. But with technology, you can scan everything. So you can know going into a review to say that, you know, this agent is generating 10% more frustration than his colleagues on cancellation requests. And he's used off-brand messaging in 25 messages over the last 2 weeks. So that's something we need to pick this agent up on. And his average time of waiting between a customer message and an agent message is actually 8 seconds more than his colleagues. Oh, and he keeps using, misspelling the word application incorrectly. So we need to pick him up on that. So you're going into kind of agent quality reviews with a very clear understanding of what's going on, without having to do this manual process of reviewing lots and lots of tickets or reviewing a subsample of chats. So again, the AI is scanning everything that's happening, and it's picking up, okay, here's spelling mistakes or grammatical mistakes. Here's when agents used inappropriate language or used off-brand language, or here's just where an agent didn't follow a process correctly that we know they should follow. So anything that you need to detect as part of your kind of review process, AI can scan 100% of contacts and make sure that you know what's going on. And again, that's obviously wrapped up in a nice interface where you can go in, pick an agent, look at the level of frustration they're generating, find and filter based on certain processes that they're following, or find it and filter based on chats where they're using off-brand messaging, and just get a really clear understanding of where this agent stands and what they need to improve on, without this kind of guesswork of picking a few sample chats. So there are kind of two examples of using monitoring to really kind of understand issues as they're happening and get a kind of a head start on any issues before they arise. I'm slightly up against time here. One thing I would like to do is just to put in an offer for any CCMA members, where we can do a complimentary analysis on historic contacts to kind of find customer or agent issues that you may have missed. So for any of the platforms we support, we plug in pretty seamlessly, and its setup is in a few minutes. But we can then point our AI to look back at the last 3 months and find all the customer issues that you may have missed, or quantify the ones that you knew about, or highlight areas where our AI is telling you that your agents need to improve and they need to change. So like I said, setup will be pretty straightforward. So if anyone would like to find out all the issues that they missed in the last 3 months, let me know, and my email address is there at the bottom, bart@edgetier.com. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you very much for your attention.
That's great, Bart. Thank you very much, and congratulations by the way on your recent best use of AI at the AI Ireland Awards. So congratulations on that. I might just and thank you for being watching the time. Great. I just one just quick question to you on that as well. Just in terms of the barriers in deploying AI or analytics technology in customer care, what do you see are those barriers?
Well, one of the biggest barriers is really around, actually we see funnily a lot of barriers around access to IT resourcing. So like there's this kind of perception that to take advantage of kind of technology, you need to do some big integration and big installation and things like that. So we've worked very hard to make sure that, you know, plugging into a system is very easy. And normally we can get set up in like an hour, and we don't need any IT resourcing, we don't need anything else. It's purely just working through the kind of customer care team. So we do find a lot that companies that maybe don't prioritize analytics or analyzing customer performance kind of put them on the back burner, and they use, you know, lack of IT or lack of development resources as a barrier. So we try to remove all those barriers. So we do see that as a bit of a barrier overall.
Okay, thank you, Bart. No, that's great. So I'm going to hand across straight across to Tony McCormack to introduce Tony. So Tony is the CEO with Julica and that as well. So Tony's going to bring us through a little bit of that. So welcome, Tony. Over to you.
Thanks, Joe, and good morning, everyone. It's really nice to meet you all. My name is Tony McCormack, as Joe said, and the CEO of Julica. We're based in Galway. I'm just going to spend a small amount of time bringing you through some of the challenges that we address in the call center and contact center market, and I'm going to do that primarily by showing some case studies with clients. To begin with, the challenges that we address, somewhat similar to what Bart has gone through, But in a very general sense, it's making use of the rich trove of data that is often unmined within a contact center and a customer service organization, and to use that to optimize business outcomes in the first case. So I'll be bringing you through a case study we did with a UK client where we used very rich customer service data. We integrate that with customer profile information and other data sources to drive increases in customer retention and sales. And that's really top of mind for a lot of organizations now, as well as improving customer satisfaction and driving call center efficiencies. You're really trying to drive business outcomes. Beside it there, the optimization of digital channels, that's another obviously very important goal for a lot of organizations now. And what we can do is help answer questions such as, what is causing customers to move from a digital channel to an agent-assisted interaction, whether it's on digital or voice. And if that does happen, is it resulting in increasing sales, or is it resulting in lower customer satisfaction? And often the answers to those questions can be quite surprising and in most cases not understood. Another big element that we solve for is driving customer service efficiencies. And the most predominant case we find is where the level of automation and level of self-service is not optimum, is not satisfactory. So whether it's improving your IVR or improving your virtual assistant, improving your chatbot behavior, we provide some really detailed analytics on the nature of the conversations your customers are having with those services, what type of intents they're trying to fill, what type of intents are they not able to fulfill. For example, there's a lot of multi-intent conversations where customers start with one outcome and they move on to another, and that in a lot of cases then drives the need for an agent interaction, which could be good or bad. It could be low from a customer satisfaction perspective if they really are trying to do something on the web and not able to do so. And then finally, I just point out in terms of improving customer satisfaction, what we do is take a journey-based approach where rather than just linking survey scores or customer sentiment that you take from derived speech analytics or text analytics, you take that and correlate it with the full customer journey. So if it's a mortgage application, for example, that involves multiple interactions over multiple channels over an extended period of time, what is the customer's experience in terms of measurement of that experience over that full life cycle of contacts and interactions. And again, that can sometimes yield some very surprising results. We do that by basically breaking down data silos, and that is the biggest problem we see. So the data is locked away in individual channels, so the digital platforms companies use is often different from the voice channel. The customer profile data is in yet other and often multiple systems. And then the financial and business outcome data, again, is locked away in other systems. And we see some success in doing that in a kind of historical or batch process where people are building data lakes, data warehouses, but really the goal is to make that a real-time endeavor to allow adaptability and ongoing orchestration of customer experiences. And really, to do that, you need to do it in real time, and that's our differentiator, I guess. I'll just move on to some case studies. So this one was with an automotive manufacturer, one of the premium car brands. And their goal was to increase customer retention for the financial services products that their customers use to purchase vehicles. As most people know now, a lot of vehicles are bought using finance plans that are provided by the car manufacturers. And they had previously tried to link things like survey scores to, our strong brand ambassadors that, complete really good survey results. Do they result in higher levels of customer retention? They found there was really no useful insights to be gleaned from that type of analysis. So what we were able to do is we were able to take every single interaction over every channel that customers have had with that organization over multiple years, take all of the information that the organization knows about the customer, obviously things like location, dealership, product type, but much more in terms of demographics and so on, and to build really rich customer journeys that led to, the outcome that this organization was looking for, that was retention. And you don't need to go through what's shown on the right-hand side, but really all that's showing is that on the left-hand side, there's things about the customer, where they are, where they bought the car, the type of car. These are all fictitious brand names, obviously. And then here we're showing, the various types of communication. So, the channel that came in on, what they were talking about or what they were communicating about, but obviously what marketing campaigns they reacted to and so on. But ultimately on the right-hand side, which type patterns of behavior led to levels of retention and levels of defection. And obviously our tool then allows you to start drilling into those and really understanding the anomalous patterns of behavior that lead to perhaps low levels of affection in this case. But ultimately, to drive action with these analytics, we drive these analytics in real time into the front end and back end applications that the customer facing teams use. And in this case, it's Salesforce, where every time you have a customer conversation, you know the level of retention score that customer has. You can drive a next best action. You can personalize an offer to that customer with every communication you have. And obviously then you have this real adaptive nature of customer experience where every time the customer interacts with your organization, that is being brought to bear in terms of these predictive analytics that you can use to drive these next best actions. So it can be very, very successful and move away from kind of broadcast marketing campaigns to very, very personalized offers. A very different case study, but again, utilizing the same platform capabilities around real-time analytics. This was a UK customer where they use a lot of business process outsourcer partners to provide the services in their contact center. So rent collection, building safety, repair services, etc. And it was critical for them that these independent partners were only able to access the real-time analytics that they were authorized to see. And so very, very important that there was strict governance around that data. And so our platform was used to provide the partners with the real-time dashboards, the real-time reports that they needed to provide those services to this company. But now the platform has been rolled out to all supervisors and interestingly all agents. So now every agent has real-time analytics on their agent desktop, not just around call performance, like queue levels, etc., but also customer satisfaction. So that really promotes this higher level of performance while we're trying to minimize average handling time, but also maximize customer satisfaction, and it's trying to achieve that right balance in terms of those sometimes competing metrics. Another case study, very similar, but historical in nature here, and this is around adherence. So obviously with this, particularly driven by a lot of work from home, where it's very important that the adherence of agents to schedules, very fine-grained information. They tried to do this themselves, and we find that this is quite common, that you have an internal IT team that tries to correlate all these disparate data sources together to get this rich management level information. And eventually they gave up. It was quite relatively complex, and it's an embedded capability of ours to be able to take these very disparate data sources, correlate them in real time, and push them into a data warehouse. And that's what we did for this company. So now they have very, very detailed schedule adherence metrics around their agents who are working remotely, and are able to intervene where there's anomalies. And finally, this is I'd say it's quite similar to maybe something that was talked about by Bart, but this is with a large US bank where our platform is used to mine the speech channel. So what's interesting here is very large scale. They process, as I said here, nearly 20 million voice contacts a month. So it's a national US bank. And really what the goal here is to take real-time speech, do real-time speech transcription, derive next best actions during the conversation, and allow the agent's behavior to be influenced by those next best actions, which are derived from the speech channel in real time during the conversation with the customer, reducing average handling time, obviously, but also personalizing experience and increasing satisfaction. And so that's an inherent capability with a very deep ability to integrate with the voice channel with the unified communication platforms that are powering your call centers. So I'll end very briefly then on, I think what I've gone through is effectively our goal is to drive actionable insights and to really drive intelligent orchestration of customer experiences, utilizing all of the data that's available within your organization. Big focus on real time, but we also have batch analytic capabilities as well. And we have a really deep specialization in customer journey where you're not just looking at a single channel, you want to look at customers' experience across channels, particularly from very digital channels to call center and maybe amongst various types of digital channels. And then to drive that action through integrations with your existing applications to really minimize the friction in terms of adopting some of these more advanced technologies. So that's it, and thank you very much.
Tony, thank you very much. You maximized that amount of time for sure. So thank you. Might I say one very quick question, and if we can just really, what's that again? Very quite similar, really. What's the biggest challenge really that you find that organizations are facing in that area of customer service analytics?
Yeah, I think what we see is that most organizations now have started or are on this journey of trying to break down these data silos, but it's universally quite difficult, and particularly when you try and do it in real time. So just there is such a legacy of siloed data sources in most organizations that really breaking down those barriers is very, very difficult, and that's why we've spent so much investment on our side in terms of making a platform that can accelerate those activities and make it easier to really drive insight from those rich data sources.
Good, yeah, no, there's a lot of sense in that. Thank you, Tony. It was a great presentation. So, and finally, and certainly not least, we did all this in alphabetical order, being very politically correct. I would like to introduce you to Neil Young. So Neil is the Managing Director with Leadtree. Neil, straight over to you.
Great, thanks, Joe. And thanks everybody for joining the call today. Can everybody see, Joe, you can see my screen? Okay.
Yes, indeed, we can.
Great,
thank you.
Super. So yeah, let me just bring you through Leadtree and our Leadtree Optimize app and how we help customer experience, call center, help desks, etc. Deal with some of the challenges around quality management. So Leadtree in a snapshot, we build cloud-based software, very much around, we talk about the revenue workforce, but we connect customer success, customer support, call centers to that problem that we solve. We're a spin out from Pexlify, who are an enterprise Salesforce consultancy partner. And to that extent, we've 4 apps and they're 100% built for the Salesforce ecosystem. We've got quite a few international clients in terms of, across, all the geography. You think of Asia Pac, you think of EMEA, you think of North America. So we're quite international at this stage. The app we're going to focus on today is Optimize. So that's all around monitoring and coaching, implementing that quality experience, QA quality management process. So if we think about revenue ops and we just focus in on customer experience, we like to talk to people around, in the old world, looking at customer experience as an OPEX, and in the new world, how do you see that as maybe driving more revenues? I mean, the more you retain customers, that's helping your revenue position, but also upsells and other things that happen around that. And then, you extend that in, and then it's like, what are the key areas? So optimizing customer engagement, QA, productivity, that very much is in terms of, keeping revenues, decreasing operational costs, decreasing issues with agents, etc., or customers, very important. And then on the flip side of that is improving down at the bottom here, reducing that churn and increasing upsells. So in the specific area we're focusing on today, they're the key the business outcomes we're looking to help our customers with. If we look from a call center quality assurance maturity model that we've built out and educated our customers on, and it works quite well. What we see when we go into customers is an unstructured assessment process. So they're using Google Sheets or Excel, and they're running the assessments from their team leaders, and they're doing that as part of their day job, and they're getting there on the reports, but it's all very manual, prone to error and bias, etc. Then they moved into structured assessments, which is really putting in a tool such as ourselves to deal with that, where it's automated data sampling, it's real-time feedback, real-time metrics, and so on. Then you move up into proactive development around coaching tasks with SLAs, managing disputes and challenges around the assessments, trend analysis, and then we move into gamification that we've built out quite very well on our platform. And then we got a QA assessment calibration, and we may have a little bit of time just to close on that on today's session. So very quickly, just going to go through a few screenshots to help you visualize what our product solves. So we've 3 actors here. So we've Lauren on the QA evaluation perspective. We've Aaron, who's the customer experience agent, the call center agent, and Sheena, who's the customer experience director. In this scenario, I'm assuming that Lauren's full-time. So with some of our customers, just to kind of expand on this a little, some of our customers have QA agents, QA evaluators that are part of their job, such as a team leader, or in more advanced organizations, they have a dedicated QA team. And we even have customers that have up to 70 QA agents, heading towards 100. So you can imagine really large-scale call center operations that are dealing with these challenges. So if I start from Aaron, and Aaron is dealing with a customer, and it's all managed through Salesforce, and it's a web chat, and there's a problem, and he's dealing with customers constantly between web chats, emails, voice calls, and all the data is getting stored within Salesforce. And then what happens in the back end then is our product is running evaluations. So it's running schedules, data sampling. So give me 10% of interactions from Aaron in the last week that dealt with complaints, for example. So then Lauren has them queued up on her system. And then I've got a very simple example here of running a scorecard, but Lauren's able to run the scorecard while on the right-hand side, look at the web chat that went on and run an assessment against that. So that's the example of the QA evaluation. The automation that we're bringing in is the data sampling, and how we split out all the data across the different agents, and what are we, again, some of our agents or some of our organizations are analyzing over 100 different schedules ongoing at any one time across the enterprise. And then from Sheena's perspective, she wants to look at it at the top level. She wants to see how the QA managers are performing, are they getting through the throughput, what's outstanding on the amount of scorecards they're dealing with, what's the different types of assessments you can see in the bottom left there, like complaints, customer support, incoming phone calls, live chats, so on and so forth. Then the agent productivity. Again, some of our organizations have thousands of agents, so maybe this dashboard it's typically customized. I mean, a few other details around that. We start drilling down into more CX analytics around, on the scorecard types, but actually performance by question or scorecard trends that we're seeing. So maybe I'm seeing certain areas fall off, or maybe there's a cohort we need to work with to improve their soft skill training in a certain area. And these analytics will all drive this out from these dashboards. If a key proposition we have is as part of the product as well is the agent view, and we provide this free to our customers' agents. But it gives so what we're driving here is a maturity of where they're seeing their performance, they're seeing their trends, and how are they improving. So I've joined, when I joined, I was at 60% performance and customer support. Now I'm up at 90%. So I'm really seeing my progress. I'm first in my team on dealing with support inquiries. How do I perform by section on this specific scorecard? I won an award, so that's the gamification piece coming in there. So all of these elements about self-determination, let them drive, let agents see themselves, their scores instantaneously through their app, through Salesforce. That works really well. And then we think, this is back to the point. So this is where you build up the schedules. And we have the product design that it's not coding, it's built up by the QA management team, the call center management team. And we've had great success with this, and a lot of feedback on improving the features around the scheduling and how we manage the data sampling. And some advanced pieces here where we can actually start filtering. Well, what I want to do is actually find live chats in the last week that match this criteria, for example, or these agents from North America, or so you can get really complex with these filters. And some other things we can do is prioritization. So you could have VIP customers that log complaints. I want to make sure I see all of those. So I want to see 100% of those cases every week, for example. So you can do all that level of filters, and the cadence and the schedule and how often you run these things is all there. The QA calibration at a high level, this is about the evaluators themselves and bringing them together and giving them a subset of scorecards that they all assess the same subset of interactions. It brings all that data together, and they use it as a learning, as a collaboration place. Or why did you score that way? And maybe it's all about driving consistency on the assessments that they run. So that's all covered within our product as well. We have just a nice piece here was around skills-based approvals. Think of, if I give a very simple example, this is okay, if this person is at level 2 agent, then I'm going to assess 60% of their calls. But if they're at level 3, I'm only going to assess 20%, so on and so forth. So there's a bit more advanced to that, but that's that feature at a high level. We have some really strong case studies. This is an example, and just to give a different flavor of how we've seen customers use our product. These guys are an online food ordering company in the States, where they engage with restaurants, and they deliver out. So they're doing things from getting the menu operations ironed out correctly and put up on the website properly and all that kind of good stuff. And the quality assurance around the agents that are interacting with the restaurants, that's their focus of what they assess. And a big driver of what they achieved was 90% of time saved on the reporting outputs. That was causing them the real crux. So just some different areas where we really do jump in and save time. So just to close out, I think we're good for time, Joe.
You're good for time.
Yeah. So we're 100% native to Salesforce. Our big focus, then we've seen this higher, but we take a trend line of improving quality assessment productivity in call centers by at least 50%. We've zero cost for agents. We only charge for evaluators. In terms of what we can provide, if you are a Salesforce user company and you are interested in the prototype, and that we would look at some of your assessments and show you how we could play them out in their product, we'd be very interested to do that for you free of charge. Just play it back to you with our team and see does it land with you. My contact details are here. You can contact me. I will pass it out later on through the communications. But yeah, Joe, that's Leadtree Optimize.
Absolutely, Neil. Thank you very much. I had challenged Neil before this whether he could get through that number of actual slides. So yeah, you proved me wrong. There you go.
I love a challenge.
You certainly made it through. Just maybe we're just coming across into the panel, but I might just start with a question for yourself. In terms of there's a lot of different assessments there that I could see. Is there limitations on the different type of assessments you can run?
Oh, great question. Yeah, no, so we don't have, so we intentionally keep the licensing model simple. So the amount of evaluations and assessments you can run is completely unlimited. The amount of agents you can have on the app is completely unlimited. We only charge for the evaluators. Yeah. So no restrictions there.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Neil and Bart and Tony. This is a number of great presentations. Dorothy, you other additional questions there?
Yeah, a couple of questions. So I might start off with Bart, and thanks again, as Joe said, great presentation and great to get an overview of the three technologies and the three solutions. Bart, how accurate can the issue detection be? I know you illustrated how you can really save people time by using the AI to identify all these issues, but how accurate can the issue detection be?
Sure. Yeah. So it depends on what way you want to evaluate it. So one way is on like how well it is at grouping the relevant queries together, right? So when somebody, a bunch of people contact about a new topic, how good it is at doing that. And that's pretty accurate. It's tunable, but it's very accurate in terms of how it groups them together. The other is then in terms of speed of response. So one recent client that we did an analysis with, like 82% of the alerts that we generated, they didn't know there was an issue at the time when we generated the alerts. So they're getting ahead of issues. 82% of the time they're getting ahead of issues before they even know that they happen. And obviously for the other issues, like we're telling them what's going on and we're giving them that kind of quantification anyway. So depending on what way you measure it, either speed of response or on kind of ability to group things together, you can kind of look at it in slightly different ways.
And a follow-on question, how easy, I know you mentioned sort of it's quite easy to plug and play, but given different contact centers obviously use different platforms, and you talked about one of the barriers is the issue of IT resources. Like, how easy for somebody on this webinar today, if they said, oh, this sounds great, I really would like to work with these guys, how easy is it for them to go ahead and set it up?
Yeah, so we support most leading platforms at this stage. Generally, it's 5 minutes work on their side to generate a key or to add us as a connected app. It's a pretty simple process, and then it's us ingesting the data. So we had a go live this week. We got an API key Tuesday. They were getting insights on Wednesday, and there was no IT required, no external people required. So it's all within the bounds of the customer care team themselves or the customer facing team themselves.
And the last question on that, sorry, Joe, in terms of the internal resources in a contact center for somebody to manipulate or understand the data, your system generates all that in a reportable format that is easy for people to understand and take action with.
Yeah, and like the challenge we would see a lot of the time is there's lots of really good analytics platforms out there that give you a view into data, but then somebody has to go load it up, they have to go manipulate it, analyze it, look through lots of different things. Whereas we're trying to change that to say, well, we'll tell you when you need to know something. If nothing's going on, it's fine, just work away and do the rest of your task. We'll tell you when something unusual is happening. So we're trying to change that kind of way of interacting with your data from being kind of manual led, okay, somebody better go and download a bunch of things and look through things and slice and dice it, to us saying, here's something you need to pay attention to right now because it's important to you, or it's important to your customers, or it's something that you need to address.
Brilliant. Thanks a million.
Thanks, Yeah, I might just put a question to Tony, Dorothy. That's yeah. All right. Tony, just looking at the kind of, you had a lot of different projects there and some great case study. What kind of projects do you think that deliver the highest impact, to clients? What do you think those are?
Yes, thanks, Joe. So I think ultimately the highest value is where customers commit to analyzing cross-channel behavior, because most contact centers grow up in a siloed manner, and so number one, you start to understand how your customers are interacting with you. It's inherently across channels, and we find that in a lot of cases, like almost half of the types of interaction behavior, so 50% of interactions are anomalous. Their customers are having to use channels in ways that are poorly understood, and the experience hasn't been designed up front deliberately. So that leads to like higher average handling times, because our agents are having to scrabble to get information to try and get context from previous interactions. But obviously the customers are not getting a very satisfied experience, so that impacts the top line. So ultimately they drive real value across the organization when an organization commits to doing that.
Yeah, because it's always hard to figure out where to start and kind of what are the ones that you're going to get that most return on that as well. Dorothy, do you have another question there?
Well, one of the things I was going to ask Tony, I think you didn't get a chance. I know you were going to make an offer to the people, the members on the webinar, what you might be able to do for them in the coming weeks or months if they want to find out a little bit more about Julika.
Yeah, so I mean, we'd be very happy to engage with any of the participants here, because similar to Bart, we find that we can deliver insights very, very quickly. We can ingest data, we can correlate the data across the various data sources and give you back insights within, I don't think it's a matter of 5 minutes, but certainly within a few days. So, we generally offer a free trial that lasts about a month, and it generally takes us a couple of days to get the platform up and running. So, very happy to work with anyone on that one.
Brilliant. Thanks, Tony. And Neil, then, can you talk a little bit about the reporting tool that you're using to generate your analytics and your reports?
Oh yeah, very good. So we're, as I mentioned earlier on, we're 100% native to Salesforce. So we actually use the underlying reporting structures that are within that. And then if there's any tools on the back of that, more advanced reporting, there's like Einstein Analytics and all those kind of good stuff. So it's all within that Salesforce ecosystem. So, well, everything I've shown today, I know it's very brief, but that's all from our app working with base, the standard Salesforce Service Cloud environment. So yeah, we pretty much provide all that pre-canned, and it's all sitting within Salesforce.
Brilliant, perfect. Well, I'm conscious of time. We've literally 2 minutes to go. So I thank so much. I just think to really encourage everybody in the webinar this morning to take advantage of all these offers. I mean, these are phenomenal technologies that really would have an impact on the performance of your operation. And with everybody, the talks I've been having for the last couple of weeks with a lot of members have been the shortage of resources and, people moving on and trying to get really good skills. And I think, the 3 services and products we've outlined this morning really showcase what you can do with technology, and that hopefully will release some additional resources. And I know there's a huge focus on quality, and obviously there has to be in terms of the operation of the contact center, but certainly I think there's really great solutions there. So we'll say the offers are only open for a month to encourage people to act quickly. So can I encourage you all to do that? Obviously, the guys have all given their details at the end of their presentations, but if anybody's any difficulty, you'll find them on LinkedIn or drop me an email, and obviously happy to facilitate an introduction. But thank you so much to everybody for being involved this morning. Hope everybody has a good weekend. I was saying before we went live that we're all being released, it looks like, in the next couple of weeks. So hopefully everybody still stay safe and mind yourselves. And we'll be planning another one of these showcases in April time. So we'll keep you in touch on that. And hopefully we'll have a face-to-face event in the next few months as well, when we do a little bit of networking as well. So thanks to Joe for pulling this together, to Bart, to Tony, and to Neil. Really appreciate your time this morning. And thank you again to all of our participants. And we'll put the recording and the presentations up on Monday. Thanks a lot.
Okay, thanks everyone.
Thank you very much.